5 teen serial killers who almost got away with murder. When it comes to serial killers, scientists and psychologists have long debated the question of nature versus nature. Did life events make them prone to violence, or are some people simply born to kill? While the majority of serial killers are middle aged white men, there are certainly others who do not fit the typical profile. Perhaps most disturbing of all are those who become serial killers before they are even out of their teens. It's easy to vilify a murderous adult. Hating someone who is practically a kid? That brings up a whole new set of emotions for everyone involved. Here are 5 teen serial killers who tried to get away with murder. Each one was apprehended, but as a word of warning, some readers may find these stories distressing. Number 1. James Fairweather, 15 years old. In 2016, James Fairweather was sentenced to a minimum of 27 years in prison after brutally murdering 2 strangers. Fairweather says that the murders were inspired by his obsession with serial killers, particularly his favorite, Ted Bundy. His first victim was stabbed to death 102 times while lying drunk in park, while the second was killed with a bayonet. After the trial, Fairweather's mother said, "James Fairweather is a monster in our eyes, and we will never be able to forgive him." Number 2. Charles Starkweather. Have you ever seen the movie Natural Born Killers? The plot was inspired by the real-life story of Charles Starkweather and his 14-year-old girlfriend, Carol Ann Figgett. After murdering Figgett's mother, stepfather, and 2-year-old sister, the pair went on 2-month killing spree. By the time they were apprehended, 11 people were dead. Starkweather was sentenced to death by electric chair, while Figgett served 17 years before bars behind being released. Number 3. Mary Bell, 11 years old. Although not quite a teenager, Mary Bell was assisted in her crimes by her 13-year-old best friend, Norma Bell, who was no relation despite having the same last name. Together, the pair strangled 2 young boys ages 3 and 4. When police investigated Mary's background, they found out that her prostitute mother was abusive. On more than one occasion, she tried to kill Mary and force her to engage in sexual acts with men. When Norma was accused of crimes on account of her feeble-mindedness, Mary served 12 years in a juvenile detention center. Today, she is a grandmother and lives anonymously under a new name. Number 4. William Hivins, 18 years old. William Hivins began committing petty crimes at the age of 13. But 5 years later, he turned to murder. After brutally stabbing his second female victim, he wrote a message on the wall in lipstick. It read, "For heaven's sake, catch me before I kill more. I cannot control myself." Sadly, he would murder a 6-year-old girl before police finally caught him, having served 65 years in Chicago prison before dying of natural causes. Number 5. Jesse Pomeroy, 14 years old. The case of Jesse Pomeroy is infamous because of his standing as one of America's first known teen serial killers. In 1871, at age of 12, Pomeroy began murdering young boys in Massachusetts. After his family moved to South Boston, he continued his killing spree and was apprehended by police, but spent only 2 years in juvenile detention center. At the age of 14, Pomeroy was paroled and sent back to live with his mother. However, a short time later, he was found guilty of killing 2 more children. He was sentenced to his life in prison and eventually transferred to Bridgewater Hospital for criminally insane.